Why, hello, everyone. It's nice to see you. We'll begin in just 1 minute. For now, just enjoy the beautiful scene that we have from where I'm located. Give a few more minutes so that way more people can tune in. It is a beautiful day, very sunny, which is not usual for the state park that I'm currently in. It's bright and sunny, no fog. The sun is behind me, so my face is going to be a little bit difficult to see. But the real topic of today will be these little black spots that you might be seeing on your screen in the water. We'll talk more about them in just a second. All right. There we go. Well, my name is Mariana, and I am a park interpreter specialist for California State Park. So I work for this wonderful symbol on my hat. Might be difficult to see, but there we go. The sun is shining on it, and now you have a better glance of it. I am out in public, so I am wearing my mask to protect myself and others. But there is no one around me, so I'm going to quickly give you a smile so you have an idea of what my face looks like behind this mask. And then it goes back on. Well, I am so excited to be here with you today for a special program about Sea Otter adaptation. And if you don't know what a sea otter is, that is okay. This is why you're here listening to me. We're going to find out more about sea otters. But to start off, I wanted to first welcome you to the San Luis Obispo Coast District YouTube page. So excited to be here. And to celebrate California Biodiversity Week. Wow, so amazing. California is so diverse in its plant life, wildlife, all of it. That is what biodiversity means, that there are many, many different types of animals and plant species that call California home. So I am so thrilled that I get to be a part of California's Biodiversity Week and talk about one of my favorite animals that lives where I am currently at right now. But where am I, you might be asking? Like, hey, Mariana, well, where are you? You've got some awesome views behind me. Well, I am currently at Morro Bay State Park. Morro Bay State Park is located on the central coast of California. And so you have a better idea of where Morro Bay is. I have a map to show you. And hopefully you might be able to recognize where Morro Bay is. So Morro Bay is right in between San Francisco and Los Angeles. We're about 4 hours south of San Francisco and 4 hours north of Los Angeles. And this is what Morro Bay State Park looks like on a map. So we have quite a bit of land, and there are a lot of different species, so different organisms, different animals and plants that live here in Morro Bay State Park. And currently, I am standing in front of Morro Rock. Morro Rock is located on the top left of this map. You can see it right below where it says Morro Rock Beach and right above the No Name Beach. That is where I am currently standing, and that is where you are looking out onto Morro Bay from Morro Rock. Pretty fascinating, if I might say so. And we are very fortunate because today is a wonderful day. Like I said at the very beginning, this is not typical for Morro Bay. It's usually foggy, has somewhat of the summer glooms, but right now it is beautiful. The sun is shining. There are very few clouds. It's a little bit foggy, but not too chilly, which is pretty amazing. I'm excited. I'm getting ready for the weekend, and it's already kicking off to a great start. I think I think the weather knew that I was going to be out here talking to you all, and it wanted to give us a sunny day. So that's pretty awesome. So out of all of the animals and plants that live here in Morro Bay State Park, we are going to be talking about my favorite. It is a marine mammal. What could that mean? What does marine mammal mean? Well, let's break it up. Okay, well, marine means the ocean, and mammal is a warm-blooded animal. If you take your finger and you point it to yourself, you are a mammal. Did you know that? That's pretty cool. We are a mammal. We are warm-blooded, and we have a backbone, which is our spine. So the marine mammal, the sea otter that we're going to be talking about, is a marine mammal. So it spends most of its life out at sea. And we're seeing some of those sea otters out in the water. Those black dots, really difficult to see. There we go, right here. Those are living animals. Those are marine mammals. And a really important part about being a marine mammal is that they get all of their food source from the ocean. It is super important. So I wish we were a marine mammal, but we don't get all of our food source from the ocean, and we don't spend all of our lives out at sea. But these sea otters do. And to give you a little bit more information before we dive deeper in how these amazing creatures live in the cold ocean, I want to talk about some of their history. Well, at one point in time, these amazing marine mammals, they were scattered across. And they were about 150,000 to 300,000 sea otters. But unfortunately, they almost went extinct. That's right. They almost disappeared from the face of the earth because they were hunted for their fur. Wow, can you imagine? We had a lot of sea otters out in the ocean, but then they almost disappeared because we wanted to use their fur. Their fur is very valuable. It's very warm, and we'll get more into their fur later on in this program. But currently, there are about 3,000 sea otters. The southern sea otter, to be specific. 3,000, that's really small compared to that 150,000 or 300,000 southern sea otters that there used to be. The southern sea otter is a threatened species. That means that we need to do our part in taking care of them. They are very vulnerable to changes in their environment. And we'll talk about ways that we can help them also later on. But if you were standing on the coast of California, looking out in the ocean, you might be able to see a sea otter all the way north to San Mateo County down to Santa Barbara. And I also have a pretty awesome map to show where you might see a sea otter if you're looking out into the ocean off of California. So here we go. This map might look a little bit complicated, but let's go through it together. So the yellow and the red marks that you see on the border of California's coast, that's where you might see a sea otter. Pretty amazing. And the red markings that you see, that's where there are more sea otters. So they have a higher population. There are more individuals in that location compared to those yellow spots on the map. But here in Morro Bay State Park, we have about 40 individuals. And most of them are right here, right behind me. give you a little scan. And they are all resting right now. Some of them are grooming. Some of them are sleeping, resting among the kelp. Wow, so peaceful. And most of our sea otters that are right here are females. Yeah, females usually like to stay in the same location where they were born, whereas males like to adventure off. So we have about 40 individuals here at Morro Bay State Park, which is pretty fascinating and awesome. And I think it's a very special place because we are so lucky to have such a unique marine mammal to live in Morro Bay. And I bet you didn't know that the southern sea otter is related to several land animals. Yeah, that's right. Here we have marine mammals. They spend all their time out at sea, but yet they're related to animals that use the land, that spend the majority of their life in land. Well, those animals that the southern sea otter are related to are skunks and weasels. What? I definitely have had skunks in my backyard. Maybe you have too. Pretty awesome, right? To think that a skunk is related to this marine mammal that is on your screen right now, that are right behind me. Skunks are everywhere. I think that is so cool. And I have a picture of all of those animals next to each other. And maybe we can use some observation skills to identify some similar body characteristics that they have. This is a close-up of the southern sea otter. That is what they look like right behind me, resting, having their paws and their flippers above the water, relaxing. And this are those animals that I mentioned a second ago. All of these animals are related to each other. You have the southern sea otter on the top left. Down below is your skunk, and right on your right-hand side is the weasel. Whoa. Let's try to make some observations, use some of our observations to identify similar body parts among these animals or among these pictures. I hear long bodies. Yeah, that's an awesome characteristic. All of these animals that are related to each other have long bodies. What else? I'm hearing ears, small rounded ears. Yeah, exactly. You are correct. All of these animals have the small rounded ears. You can really see that in the weasel image. Very cute ears. And I'm noticing that all three of these animals have small legs and arms. They're a little bit short. Well, those are some awesome observations. And all of those body parts help us know that these animals are related to each other. These animals are part of the Mastilla family. Yeah, that's a really tough word to pronounce, so I'm going to repeat it again. All of these animals are part of the Mastilla family. And we listed all those body parts that put them in that family. The small rounded ears, long bodies, as well as the shorter legs and arms. Pretty cool. Well, now that we've gotten to get a little bit more information about the southern sea otter and how it is a marine mammal, that it is a threatened species, and that it is part of the Mastilla family, let's get into how these amazing creatures survive in their cold environment. It's really chilly in that water. I would not be able to be in that water without some sort of clothing to keep me really warm. And let's do a quick exercise to maybe get us thinking of adaptations. Adaptations are where an animal has or does something to allow them to live in their environment more efficiently. Yeah, adaptations makes it easier for them to live in their environment. So for this exercise, I want you to close your eyes. And I want you to imagine what you would need to wear to keep warm in the cold ocean. What would you wear? I'm thinking I'm going to need to wear a wetsuit. That black suit that you see a lot of scuba divers, maybe surfers wearing. I think I might want to wear that to stay warm. What type of food might I eat if I were to spend a whole day in the ocean? Think I might be eating fish, mussels, clams. Those are just a few examples. What other add-ons would I want to make it easier for me to spend a day out at sea? I might want to add some flippers, maybe. Maybe that will make it easier to swim in the water. I don't know. All right, you can open your eyes. Thank you for participating in that exercise. Kind of get our brain moving and thinking about ways that sea otters might adapt to this cold ocean environment that they call home. Well, let's build or draw a sea otter together and talk about those amazing body parts that they have that allow them to live in this environment. And to do this exercise, we're going to need a pencil or marker or any writing device and a piece of paper. So I'll give you a moment to collect your supplies. I have my piece of paper. I have mine taped onto a hard surface because I am in the field, I am in public and outside, makes it easier to draw. And I have my writing device. I have a marker. And we are going to be drawing a sea otter and talking about the different body parts that sea otters have in order to survive in their cold ocean environments. I'm going to scoot this camera a little bit to the side so maybe you can see me better. It's very hard with the sun behind me, but I wanted to give you an awesome view of the sea otters. So let's get to it. Let's start drawing our sea otter. Our very first step, I think, is to draw a circle on the upper portion of our paper to represent the head. All right, I have a circle. Maybe you can see it. There we go. So we have the circle to represent the head. And I am no artist, but I love to use art as a way to make observations about my surroundings. It makes it easier to get an understanding of what's around me, makes me curious. So I think art is a great tool to really use my senses, like touch, eyesight, hearing, taste is another sense. All right, let's draw the body. Now the body almost looks like an eggplant shape. It's a type of fruit that maybe some of you have eaten before. So let's go ahead and draw that. There we go. So we have a head and the body. My body is a little bit slanted. That's okay. And I think we should include some eyes. Yeah, some eyes. Okay. I think I can start seeing a sea otter maybe from this. I think we need to add a little bit more. I think we should add a very valuable body part. That is the southern sea otter's fur. Yeah, we should add a lot of fur. I usually like to draw fur as like squiggly lines or draw like 3 little lines close to each other to represent the fur. You can color in your sea otter to show that it has lots of fur. It is up to you. This is your creation and it makes it easier, whatever makes it easier for you to remember that the southern sea otter has lots of fur. The southern sea otter has the densest fur in the entire animal kingdom. Can you believe that? Think about all the animals that you know that have fur. Well, the southern sea otter has more fur than all of those animals that you're thinking of. They have the densest fur in the entire animal kingdom. You might be asking, Mariana, what does that mean? What does it mean that it has the densest fur? How many fur pieces does it have? Well, if you stick your hand out just like this and draw an imaginary square inch on the back of your hand, just a little small square inch, there are about 1 million strands of hair per square inch of a sea otter's body. That is mind-blowing. 1 million strands of hair per square inch of a sea otter's body. That is really thick. So thick that the water, the ocean, cold water, doesn't reach the skin of a sea otter. It must be very thick. Here, if they spend all of their life out at sea and the water doesn't make it to their skin. That is an amazing adaptation that the southern sea otter has in order to survive in this cold water. So amazing. 1 million strands of hair per square inch. How many strands of hair do you think are on the top of your head? I'm hearing 1,000. It's higher than 1,000. Hearing 10,000. It's more than 10,000. Any other guesses? Hearing 5,000. Well, we have about 100,000 strands of hair on the top of our head. That is pretty small compared to the 1 million strands of hair per square inch that the southern sea otter has on its body. That's an enormous difference. We only have 100,000 100,000 strands of hair on top of our head. I thought we would have way more, but we don't. The southern sea otter has 1 million strands of hair per square inch. What an amazing adaptation it has to keep warm. And I have an image, a close-up image of the southern sea otter fur that I'm going to share with you. There we go. The southern sea otter has 2 different types of fur. It has guard hair, which are those lighter pieces that you see on your screen. They're a little bit longer and they're lighter in color. The guard hair helps with waterproofing or water resistance. Water is able to just flow right off guard hair. The second type of fur is very difficult to see. It is the closest to the sea otter skin, and it is known as underfur. It is super soft and comfy to touch. And that fur is very important in keeping the southern sea otter warm. The underfur is pretty fascinating in itself because that is where air bubbles are trapped. Pretty cool, right? Sea otters are able to move their fur around and trap air. And that air helps with insulation. It helps keep them warm and it helps prevent water from reaching their skin. So here they have really thick fur, but they also are able to trap air in that fur to help with keeping them warm. And that activity of moving their fur and getting air trapped in it is known as grooming. Sea otters love to groom. It is their number one activity that you will see a sea otter doing. Besides resting, grooming is very, very important. And they pretty much groom all day and in between other activities. It's almost like they groom, eat, groom, sleep, groom, rest, groom, repeat. So it's this whole cycle, and grooming is a very important adaptation that sea otters do in order to stay warm. Like I said, they do it in between every single activity that they do, whether it be looking for food or resting, sleeping. Grooming is a priority. It is what allows them to stay warm in this cold water. Ooh, we have some seals in the water. You might not be able to see it, but they are there. That's pretty fascinating. It's not only you got to see sea otters, but you got to see some seals too. So let's get back to our drawing. It needs a lot more work if we're going to finish building our sea otter. We added some fur. What else could we add? I'm thinking we need to add some facial features. I think we need to add a nose. And usually for the nose, I just draw an upside down triangle. And then I draw some circles attached to it to represent the snout. There we go. To represent the snout. And I'm going to draw some lines coming out of the circles to show that the southern sea otter has whiskers. They do. They do have whiskers. Oof, went a little bit crazy with this. There we go. Sea otters do have whiskers. And before I forget, let's add those small rounded ears that make the southern sea otter part of the Mastilla family. Remember how they're related to skunks and weasels? There we go. Almost forgot to include the ears. Okay, so the southern sea otter has whiskers. This water behind me is very murky. It's hard to see in it. And in fact, the southern sea otter has poor vision. So they have to use other parts of their body to find food or to swim in the water. They can't just rely on their eyesight. Again, this water behind me is very murky. And one way that they're able to sense movement in the water or find their food is through their whiskers. Pretty cool. Their whiskers act like our fingers. Yeah. It's almost as if we put our fingers to our face and we did this, we would almost have whiskers like the southern sea otter. And their whiskers help them feel around. And I have a close-up of a sea otter's face where we can see those amazing whiskers. Look at how many whiskers this sea otter has. helping them see by feeling. Pretty awesome. They have to rely on their whiskers a lot because they love to look for food. The southern sea otter is constantly looking for food and eating. They eat about 25% of their body weight. That's really hard to picture how much food that is. Well, let's pretend that our sea otter is 100 pounds. In real life, they're about 50 to 70 pounds. But for example, let's pretend that our sea otter friend is 100 pounds. In order to stay warm in the ocean, they would have to eat about 25 pounds of food a day. That is quite a bit of food. 25 pounds of food a day if our sea otter friend was 100 pounds. That is an enormous amount of food. Humans, you and I, we eat about 3 to 5 pounds of food a day. That is pretty small compared to that 25% of a sea otter's body weight. Very small, and most humans weigh more than 100 pounds, but we eat very little compared to the southern sea otter. So it's really important that they have their whiskers to help them forage or look for food. And they are carnivores. What does a carnivore mean? I heard an animal that eats meat. You are correct. A carnivore eats meat. And the southern sea otter is a carnivore. They like to eat mussels, clams, and one of their favorite snacks are sea urchins. And they spend a lot of time looking for those tasty snacks to eat. So whiskers are very important. Let's get back to our sea otter drawing. We have the face going on, right? We have eyes. We know that the eyes aren't really useful in a very murky or cloudy water, so they rely on their whiskers. And they have a lot of fur. They have the densest fur in the entire animal kingdom. Let's keep adding to our drawing. I think we should add some paws. Let's add some paws. Oh, here we go. Okay, almost lost my writing device. There are so many sea otters out. This is so cool. Those are all the little black spots on your screen. They're all gathering around. And a few of them even have pups, which is a southern sea otter baby. That's pretty cool. Okay, so let's go back to our drawing and draw some paws. I'm going to draw one waving. There we go. Their paws are very important. Just like the whiskers, their paws are used to help feel around their surroundings. Their paws also act like whiskers. They help them feel. They also help them collect their food item and then break open those hard shell organisms, like the sea urchins, clams, and mussels that I mentioned earlier. They need to use their paws for that. What else could we add? I think we should add some flippers. The southern sea otter has flippers. And I usually draw them like this, but you can draw them any way that will help you remember that the southern sea otter has flippers. Why might they have flippers? Maybe you can think of why you might want to have flippers if you're in the water. Yeah, that's right. These flippers help them swim in the ocean. It makes it more efficient. And I encourage you, if you ever find yourself in the water, maybe the pool, ocean, lake, wherever you might go, to swim without flippers and then put flippers on. You might notice a difference. Well, sea otters don't need to put on flippers. They already have flippers. That is what their hind feet look like. And they are one of the few animals that have flippers for hind feet and paws for front hands. And I have an image of both of those. And here we go. This is a southern sea otter resting in a very typical position. That is what they look like right behind me. They usually have their paws and their flippers above the water when they are resting because it has less fur compared to the rest of their body. Because it has less fur, they're more vulnerable to the cold ocean. That cold water is able to touch that skin, and one way to keep them warm is by having their flippers and paws above the water. So earlier I said they have 1 million strands of hair per square inch on their body. That's not so on their paws and flippers. And this is a pretty classic position that you might see a sea otter in if you were to visit. Maybe you'll find yourself here at Morro Bay State Park. We are not quite done with our drawing of a sea otter. So here we go. Let's finish it up. We have the head, we have the body. We added a lot of fur because that's a really important adaptation that sea otters have in order to stay warm. And we added whiskers to help them see in the water. They see by feeling. And we added paws to help them break open those hard-shelled animals they like to eat. And we have flippers so that way they can swim easier in the water. We need to add one more body part, and that is a tail. The southern sea otter has a tail. A lot of people don't know that, but now you do. We're going to go ahead and add it. And their tails are usually flat and plump. And they also, like their flippers, help them swim. Pretty awesome. Well, congratulations, because you just drew a sea otter. Wow. I really want to see your drawings. So if you want, you can have your parents post your picture and tag us through our Facebook pages at Morro Bay State Parks or at Hearst and Simeon State Park. We want to see your beautiful art creations and what you learned about the southern sea otter. We learned so much in just this quick time. We learned about their fur. We learned how they're a threatened species. We learned that they are a marine mammal and that they have all these cool adaptations that we drew out in order to survive in this environment. That is pretty amazing. Well, I hope to see your sea otter drawings in the future. But we're going to go ahead and set our sea otter drawings aside. Really want to thank you for participating in that activity. Hopefully you learned a lot about the sea otter, and I'm going to do another quick scan because there are a lot behind me. And the southern sea otter is a threatened species. I said that at the very beginning of this program. So it's really important that we do our part in protecting them. We talked about how they have all these different adaptations in order to survive in the cold environment. And we want to make it easier on them. We don't want to make it more difficult. So there are a few ways that we can help protect this amazing marine mammal. There are two main ways that I'm going to talk about. The first one is just picking up after ourselves, taking the time when we're outside to scan the ground and pick up any trash that might have been left behind. That is a really simple action that you and I can do together all the time when we are exploring nature, when we're taking a walk on the beach, going on a hike, or just walking around your neighborhood. Picking up after ourselves is really important because trash can end up in the ocean. Even if you are not from Morro Bay or even in California, trash can travel. It can flow down the rivers and creeks near you and end up in a body of water. So very important that we pick up after ourselves. That's the first way that we can help the southern sea otter. The second one is by maintaining distance. If you are here at Morro Bay, or if you're in another location where sea otters can be found, we want to give them space. We like to say stay about 5 kayak lengths away. Ooh, some of them are wrapping themselves up in the cup. That's why you see movement in the water. But again, we want to say about 5 kayak lengths away. Just like us, the sea otters don't like it when a stranger comes into their home. They get very scared and they will swim away using energy that they could be using to look for food, keep warm, but instead they are swimming away because they are scared. And if a sea otter is looking at you, you are too close. Those are the two most important things that we can do to help our southern sea otter friends. Picking up after ourselves, but also giving them space. They are wild, and we want to protect this amazing marine mammal, but also ourselves. So again, 5 kayak lengths away, and if a sea otter is looking at you, you are too close. Well, I want to thank you for having me today. I had a wonderful time, and I hope you learned lots about our southern sea otter friends. I'll give you a quick little scan again of this amazing creature before signing off. We have a boat coming through, but I'm so excited that I got to be a part of the California Biodiversity Week. We have so many programs in store for you, and I will be back on Monday doing a nature sketching program at Montaña de Oro State Park, which is near this location in Morro Bay. So hopefully you have a wonderful rest of your day and have a lovely weekend as well. Bye.